Hello and welcome to Panto Financial Services. This is Pranav Patil. Today we will discuss possibility of a recession in coming year and how to protect yourself and your portfolio as well. So let's understand what is recession. If you look at the bookish knowledge, it says slow down in the economy. Simply, slow down in the economy. It is called as a recession. So the prices of the product goes down, demand also goes down. This is called as a recession parameter. Now, I'll give you a simple example to understand what exactly, in a very simple example, if you are driving a car on the road और आपको मतलब आप सीधा जा रहे हो रोड से और आपको एक गड्ढा मिलता है और गड्ढे में आपका कार का टायर अटक जाता है, that is called as a recession. Now it is a part of, it is very important how you perceive it. Do you think that okay, recession मतलब मेरी अबे गड्ढे में कार अटक गई है तो मेरा तो जीना ही मुश्किल हो जाएगा, अब मैं क्या करूंगा? What you do basically, if your car is too large, you ask someone to tow it and take out from that pothole, right? So this is how we have to perceive as a recession is a part of journey as a. Most of the people, what they perceive when they hear a recession or so called mandi word, they get scared. They think that okay, मतलब businesses बंद हो जाएंगे या jobs सारे के सारे jobs चले जाएंगे, ऐसा नहीं होता. It's just a part of journey, basically time period. In another word, we can say there are two ways. I'll tell you how you can perceive as a recession. One is a holiday from a positive side, and the negative side is the depression. Now when you are in depression, what do you feel? जी के भी क्या करना है बॉस, एक ना एक दिन जाना ही है, वैसे ही मतलब दिस इज द वे पीपल परसीव फ्रॉम अ नेगेटिव साइड. वेयर एज द पॉजिटिव साइड, you when you go on a holiday, what happens to your company? Do you work in a holidays time? No, right? You take a off. So similar way, one should think that okay, it is a time to take a off for a short term perspective, not entirely, but the slowdown in the economy. Now why this happens, we will understand why this happens, and what are the benefits of the recession and what are the pains of recession. So there are major four factors of why this happens. One is a cycle. There are a lot of economists believe that it is a cyclical pattern which they have seen in the economy. I personally don't believe it. I'm trying to explain you the first barometer why this happens. So what they feel that how like we have a birth, then you become child, then you become adult, then you become old age, then you die, right? This is the life cycle. So similar way they feel that it is a part of economy has to go into this section as well. The time period differs. So this is the one of the reason they believe, but I personally don't believe on this, so we will not spend much time on this. Now let's understand the second the reason. Second reason is overload of purchasing power. मतलब आदमी के हाथ में ज्यादा पैसा आता है तब. Now why I'm saying this overload of purchasing power, when you buy a product and you get the money easily, not necessarily your own money. Suppose if you wanted to buy a computer or a house or any motorcycle, you have only 5% or 2% money with you, still you get a finance from a finance companies at the cheaper rate. That is called as a overload of purchasing power in the economy. What happens when you buy, you get a finance, again your requirement goes up, you get a finance at the cheaper rate, and because of that demand goes up and the inflation goes up. To control that, if it is not controllable, the financial regulatory like RBI and the Fed has to come into the picture, and what they do, it is going out of control, so they start increasing the interest rate at a faster level. So in the last video, I did mention that Fed has increased the 75 basis point rate. So and their target is like in the less than year, again they are expecting to raise like 1% or 2% interest rate. So this is going too much fast, and because of that, the consequences, what happens, you stop purchasing it. So the demand goes down and the interest rate goes up. On the contrary, there is a supply, but again, the industrialist, get scared to do a lot of capex. That's the reason overload of purchasing power becomes a reason for a recession. So first we have seen cycle, second is overload of purchasing power, third is assets bubble. Now in India we have not seen it asset bubble as such, what exactly it is. We have seen only Satyam, as in one of the, like how exactly, when the bubble happens, how exactly the entire valuation goes down. So in the US, you must have heard Lehman Brothers, and after that, how what happened to their property prices. It took us 7 years for them to get back to their prices, what they earlier were. So this kind of events actually makes trouble in the economy. This is one of the reason we might see a recession in the economy. And the fourth parameter is unimaginable events. We have seen the Ukraine and Russia, right? So just imagine, if you look at the statistics, they require close to $3 trillion, Ukraine and Russia both, if they wanted to review the entire economy, and they wanted to whatever the damage happened, to repair that damage, both the countries require somewhere around 3 trillion plus dollar. So just imagine, and the current situation is like a demand is stuck entirely for the both the countries. It is, see, understand this, the fights and other things, it is not only connected to these countries, the consequences happens on the other countries as well. So just recently you must have heard the Indian government had banned export on the wheat, and they set a certain level of the rice and the sugars as well. Why this happens? Because the other countries which they were supplying or they were doing an export, it has been stopped, and that's the reason the demand pressure is on the other countries. Now when there is a higher level of demand, the price of the product goes up, and that's the reason, to avoid that, the governments have put the bans to control the inflation at the certain level. So these are the unimaginable events. This is the one. Second is like a COVID. Just imagine, there were n number of businesses. They have not opened the shops for 1.5 years. N number of industries, like events industry or the cotton industry. The entire demand was flushed except FMCG at certain level. These events actually, so the entire shops were closed, and people were having a less purchasing power for them, not all the people. Because of that, recession may hit to the economy. These are the four basic parameters, where you can validate, is the recession is a possible, what is the possibility of the recession. So looking at this four possibility, four reason, what I personally believe, the last three parameters are actually in the favor of recession. Not much, but yes, at certain level. Now, see, we have to understand recession is, when you hear the mandi words, people get scared. My only genuine request, in the coming months, you might see a lot of news on the recession. It's not yet been started, or this issue is not taken by the media, so it's not yet in the newspaper and the news media basically. So if you hear this, try to be calm. It is a part and parcel. Point number one. Point number two, it doesn't last long. मतलब आपको सोचने की जरूरत नहीं कि बॉस अब तो क्या होगा. Just have a patience. Now what are the benefits of it? Now important benefit is interest rate goes down. So there is a huge amount of flood of money comes in the economy. Indirectly, the stock market gets most of that money. Because the interest rate goes down, by default, the purchasing power, the money comes in the economy or the financial markets, and that's the reason the stock market gets huge amount of flood of money. Now, not necessarily on the first day or first month it happened. There will be a volatile market. If there is a possibility of volatility, but one should have to be a patience, peaceful mind. See, to create a portfolio, you need to have a very important one point is peaceful mind. That's it. So you need to understand if the recession hit in the economy, there is a flood of money which we will come indirectly. It will support the stock market. So in the benefit of it, you can create a great portfolio if you have a patience. Now you have to just ensure that you don't require that money for a 5 years or 10 years perspective. See what happens if you are looking, okay, मैं एक महीने के लिए मुझे पैसा नहीं लगेगा, अगले महीने लगेगा, एक महीने के लिए मैं डालता हूँ, and it won't work in that way. You may get a benefit out of it, but sometimes you may get stuck as well. So point is, you create the best benefit is you can create the great amount of portfolio with a peaceful mind, with a patience. And the returns in the long term will be a crazy returns. As I mentioned, the second benefit is the interest rate goes down. If you are still in the, if your job or if your income is at the stable level, and because not all the sectors or not all the business hits on the recession, it doesn't mean entire economy gets stopped. Absolutely not. So if you wanted to buy other things, if you wanted to take a loan, you get a benefit of interest rate as well. You can do an investment as well. I'm talking with a personal perspective, not from a business perspective. And you have to do with a peaceful mind only. That's, you can do it. Now, what are the pains of this economy? See, there is what happens when the recession comes. There's a huge amount of media and the news channel sends a huge amount of news, which actually you eat it and you have a problem of depression. There is a very high level, and India, every fourth person is causing a depression issue. So just imagine if we hit the recession, what could be a situation. So try to be very positive. This is the only one way you can avoid the impact on you. Just think it is a time, part and parcel of the economy, and I will not get a hammer of this. If you see, I'm not here to give you any advice. What I'm trying to say, how you can protect yourself. As I mentioned, that portfolio, you can create a great portfolio with a peaceful mind, and don't think that the stock market has an issue. Actually, when there is a recession, the market actually gives a market gets a huge amount of money. There will be a job losses kind of situation you may see, but it is a part of parcel. Basically, it happens for a short term period. Now, in the last two recession, if you look at the statistics, in 2008 to 10, basically entire time frame, it took a 5 to 7 years for the that bubbles to get clear up the damage basically, and it took 3 years for the economy to get back on the table. So even if you see it, think from a short term perspective. Let's say for a few months it may happen. After that, nobody realize that. Nobody even remember that once it gets off. This is what I wanted to tell you. If you see a recession in the coming year, stay positive and create a great amount of portfolio. And if you create the great portfolio with a peaceful mind and the positive vibes, you may make a crazy money in the recession as well. Thank you for your time. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.